It's Lille from Defeated Sanity, and you're watching RichardMetalFan.
Hey, what's up, guys? Episode 311 of Richard Metal Fan Interviews, calling from Zoom, and I have a returning guest, round two with Lule from Defeated Sanity. How you doing today, man? Thanks for coming back on.
Yeah, all good. Uh, happy to back. Happy to be back here.
Yeah, it is so great to be able to talk with you today. So, your latest the latest Defeated Sanity album just came out not too long ago and is absolutely kick-ass. Can you talk to me about the whole writing and recording process, how the whole thing came to be and that good stuff?
It was just, in a way, it was business as usual. We uh, we always full of ideas. And it's the once you're done with recording an album and touring for an album, there's already like ideas collecting. So I don't know, it's almost like a treadmill, but it's a thing that keeps repeating and repeating, but it's always so different. So it doesn't really get boring. It's a constant thing in my life to come up with new stuff and try to in some way top what you've done before. So that's basically, I don't know. It just happens. It's just part uh, of my life, and also these guys, my band's life, to just write music. And then the recordings the recordings are just, you choose the right studio and the right guy, which we did with the Thousand Caves, rest in peace, and with Colin Marston. And then recording you know is just a celebration of what you've worked on for 3 or 4 years. So it basically does itself. You're practicing the stuff, and then when it's time for the studio, you're just having fun with the stuff and record it how it's supposed to be.
All right. And musically, with Chronicles of Lunacy, did you want to continue in the same vein as the Sanguinary Impetus, or did you want to try something new or different that Defeated Sanity hasn't done before?
I mean, we always want to, I definitely don't want to just ride on cliches that, like, I don't know, so many bands, they found their style, which is, congratulations, you found your style, that's great. Or maybe you have a really unique style and everything. But then it's, most of these bands stay fresh for 2 or 3 or maybe 4 albums, and it's really legendary, and they have found their style, and then they're just riding on the wave, and they're just exploring the cliches of what their style is about. And we try to not do that. So I guess we if we have an idea that sounds weird and sounds like, okay, we haven't done this before, or in a way, sometimes, and like, even if it's, a lot of bands have done a certain thing before, but we haven't done it yet. Um, that can also be original. So for Chronicles, I don't know. I did we want to stay in the sanguinary vein? I don't really think so, but it happened a little bit. It has a lot of similarities, but at the same time, it deliberately was also steering away from it. And yeah, what, like, the craving that I had, like the music that I wanted to make, was going back more to the I guess to the primitive, brutal sound, like, of the late 90s, early 2000s. But we kind of missed that, because we still brought in all these progressive ideas, because we cannot just help ourselves. So but I was kind of aware that it's like that, and I think it's a good thing, because it's like a handwriting and like a signature kind of, you know, sound. And then we let it happen a lot, you know. It was very organic, really. We didn't try to experiment forcefully like we did on Sanguinary, um, but we wanted to just like let it flow. And I think that's why it's why it came out so good, because we really just let it flow, and it's just very organic, you know.
Yeah. Yeah. And what would you say like the overall all like message and sort of like themes are for Chronicles of Lunacy?
Um, message, not really. The message is more like, you know, there's no bands playing brutal death metal anymore like this particular style, and we are like, we love this stuff, so we probably won't change it ever under this moniker, you know. It's not gonna happen. It's that's the style we love. So I would say the message is brutal death metal, uh, alive and well. um when it comes to the lyrical themes and the concept, it's basically, we started writing some crazy ideas, you know, we had, and then we basically realized that it has all to do with mental illness, with insanity, lunacy, you know. And that's when we, you know, you write 3 songs like that, or 4 songs that go in that vein, and then you realize, oh wait, it's a concept, that's a pattern, so let's keep that pattern, and that way you can rule out which themes not to use, and of course which themes you can choose from to complete the album. And that's how it happens to be a concept album about mental illness,
Yeah.
and we call it Chronicles of Lunacy.
Yeah. And of course, with being that this is sort of a concept album, is there a lot of like research that goes in hand when making this album?
Always. It's, you know, Josh and I, we think about the story that can fit which song, and then I'm always best when I basically describe, you know, I give you examples. So Josh said it would be cool to have uh we we found out about the Renfield syndrome, which is uh um people that think that they need blood, human blood, to survive. And I don't know how big of a thing it is, but Richard Chase, that serial killer from Sacramento, he basically was said to have had that syndrome, you know, and he, of course, killed people for their blood. So, of course, we started listening to podcasts, reading articles, watching more than just one documentary about it, you know. Uh, Sometimes, you know, you get a book. So, and then the other example would be, we were thinking, okay, let's just make a song about rabies, you know, because it fucks with your head. Like when the when the virus gets to the brain, it fucks with your brain. So it loosely fit that theme, and of course we had to read, what does rabies do? You know, I remember listening and reading to the Demolition Hammer track that is also about, it's called, I think the song is called Hydrophobia, and check out what their approach was, so we can not do the same thing but talk about other aspects of it. So yeah, you know, there goes a lot of research into the music, and we have motives, and you know, every single note is scrutinized, in every little groove and every little bass thing. So why wouldn't we do the same with the vocals and with the lyrics. So yeah, a lot. We're thinking a lot about the construction of the material.
Yeah, that's a lot. And then another no, I think I might have touched upon this the last time we spoke, but you know, you recently Defeated Sanity had celebrated 30 years as a band. You got to think about it, Lule, being as you're the original member left, 30 years of this Defeated Sanity. Like, did you think that you guys would be around for 3 decades? And is there still anything with Defeated Sanity that you would still want to achieve after all these years?
Um, I didn't think about it when I started, and I didn't think about it as it happened. You know, the 30 years. Um, I'm just looking ahead. I'm just looking at what I want to do, and it's it. When somebody says, "Oh, 30 years of this band," I'm like, "Ah, okay, so they're old farts resting on the two good albums they did when they were young, you know." And so I'm like, I'm kind of like, I don't want to be old. I don't want to be a 30-year-old band, you know. The good stuff is always like the first album, young kids, and so I don't really give too much of a shit. And as as to the question of did you think you would be doing it for 30 years? Yeah, in a way, I knew as soon as I got into like Megadeth and Metallica when I was like 6, I knew this is the most important thing in the world for me, you know. And uh, it started with I had football, you know, as a kid, and then I had the music. But when the music became like I became better at the instrument and more fanatic about nailing all the details and trying to get fast and trying to know what metal is about, it was really the only thing on my mind. As to what we want to achieve is it's the same thing. It feels weird because we've been on every continent now,
Yeah,
um, except one. We're not
Antarctica.
Metallica.
Yeah,
Yeah,
you should
but
be the
we're
first
not.
death metal band to play Antarctica.
We were talking about it, but I don't know how. Um, you know, we've done a lot, but I just want to still get better. I don't know if that still works with the age factor. Yeah, I'm thinking maybe that like it's almost like a dead end when it comes to, oh yeah, I want to be faster, I want to be more brutal or hard or anything, because there's young kids that have way more power than you have, like so that's probably not the thing to do. I guess I want to maybe get the classical elements of the composition uh, even better and create like bigger music that sometimes I think, yeah, we did a lot of work, but it's all this brutal death stuff and nobody can really hear what we're doing. Like I feel when you listen to the old death records or even like an album like Disincarnate album, uh, you know, it's like it's pretty obvious that that's it's pretty obvious for a lot of people. Oh, this is good music, you know. But with Defeated, it's so obscure and so special that most people still think it's just absolute obnoxious noise. And I don't know, maybe when with this age thing, maybe we can work on creating something that's more obviously recognizable as art.
Yeah. Yeah, and of course, and how would you also say like the band has evolved over the years, going from Prelude to the Tragedy, the chapters of of Repugnance to now with Chronicles of Lunacy?
I think the quality of the music that's on the CD pretty much stayed almost the same. You know, I don't feel, I don't want to shit talk about a song like Liquefying Cerebral Hemispheres, you know, when it's the first song of the first album. And to me, if I put it on, I'm still in love with what the song is about, the composition. I wouldn't really change a thing. So I wouldn't really even say we got better. We just we're just trying to keep that freshness, trying to keep that edge and everything. And as far as I'm concerned, I'm pretty satisfied with what we done on CD. So that's the first part. But I just know in 2003, when this album was, or was it 2004? Something.
2004.
Yeah, it was 2004 when we released it. We weren't a band that could play that stuff live. It was like the CDs were good, but I don't think we were good live back then. So the thing that got really more pro and more energetic and more, yeah, just spectacular is our live performance. So that definitely, I think it's at its peak now, even with you know, I feel I'm better now than I was with 21.
Yeah. And of course, still talking about the new album. You, of course, first album with your current guitarist of Vaughn. Vaughn, with him on board, did he bring something like new to Defeated Sanity that y'all didn't have previously?
Um, honestly, it's too early to say that, because many people assume that, because you know, people know the fact that he's has a jazz background and everything. Um, he did contribute things, and they're great. If they weren't great, I wouldn't be using them. Um, but it was just like the writing process was just almost done when he even started to, you know, apply for the band. So what I did want to make sure though is to give him a. We've got this from the Condemned to Vascular Famine. There's a transition to the last song, Violated Heredity, and I wanted to give him a solo part. And since there wasn't any solo part to be put in the song, so I was like, let's give him like a little transition, like a intro kind of thing. And I think that turned out amazing. And I'm thankful for that idea, because people wanted to hear what Vaughn brings to the table, and this is pretty much what it is. And I hope it's gonna get more in the future. Um, yeah, he also co-wrote the song Extrinsically Enraged with me, and gave me a few arrangement things and a few licks too in the song Condemned. So basically, the end of the album involves him more and more. That's funny to
Yeah.
think about. Yeah.
Yeah.
But yeah, it's, as I said, it's a little too early to say what he brings. He just fits in perfectly because he has that background. But that background always has been there. So he's just a perfect match. But does he bring something new? We'll we'll find out with the next album, I
Yeah,
think.
because I know on the last album you pretty much also handled all the guitar duties. And I think I might have asked this the last time we spoke, with playing like different instruments. Do you find like you're able to like express like different sides of you creatively?
Yeah, for sure. I feel sometimes I think about uh if I wouldn't play guitar, I would probably sit on the drums all day long, and I would be way better at maybe at heel toe, super fast metal drumming, or hyper blasting, or maybe the opposite side. Maybe I could be a better Latin fusion funk jazz drummer than I am. Uh, And then I'm just thinking again, and I'm like, yeah, but if I wouldn't play guitar, if I wouldn't play guitar the way I would, because that shares the time with the drums. You, I feel if you're a kind of Matt Garska kind of drummer or like a Vinny Colaiuta, I I don't think there's a lot of time to start playing the guitar. So I think my strongness, what's the opposite of weakness? My strong part, is, I guess, the just defeated sanity, the music that happens when you put this drum groove. Maybe it's not as subtle as Dave Weckl would play, or maybe it's not as fast and brutal as Derek Roddy would play, but this drum groove with this guitar riff, that's what defeated sanity is. And it's, maybe it's not the most brutal, not the fastest, and also not the smartest, but it's the fusion of the both things.
Right.
So I'm not crying either way. It's just that's the musician I am, and that's what I bring to the table.
Right. And of course, this current lineup, like you're pretty much living in Germany, and I know the rest of the band lives in the States. How does that sort of like affect like the chemistry within Defeated Sanity?
Um, I don't know. It's like the question comes to mind like you have a girlfriend and you both have your own apartments, and then you don't see each other all that much, but then when you see each other, it's fantastic. So then you both move together and you live through everything every day. Every day you see each other every day, and maybe it will become dull quicker. I don't know. But with the band, sometimes I'm thinking maybe that's a good thing, that every time we get together, we're just like, yes, finally the tribe is together again, and we get really excited. Like I'm so excited for my guys to arrive here, and we're gonna play Europe. Um, that's the one thing, but in reality, my big dream would be, yeah, of course, wouldn't it be fucking great to have the band in the same city? So you on Tuesday and Thursday you go rehearse, and then maybe on Thursday you go out for drinks, and then Sunday, Saturday, Sunday you go to whatever, go see a concert, go to the cinema together. It's a little bit of a dream situation, but it never happened for this band. This band was always spread out. Who knows? Who knows what's better?
Yeah.
I'll take it out as it is.
Yeah, I do want to touch upon a couple anniversaries because this year does mark 20 years of the first Defeated Sanity album, Prelude to the Tragedy. And I thought that was a great album because usually a lot of bands have like mixed feelings about their debut full-length album, but being as the album is now 20 years old, do you have like a certain like viewpoint about it now as opposed to when you first put it out?
Um, I think I like it better now. It's just like you have some time to look on it, and I already talked about the opener, which I think is still top notch songwriting. Maybe the execution is not 100%, but then again it has this rawness. Back then I was a little bit critical about Kelly's vocals because there was the time when we wanted to all the Disgorge and Dietz and Brodekin and all these bands came up, and we still had this kind of standard old school death metal vocals. And back then I was like, no, we have to get in on the, uh, uh, maybe a little bit of that thing was in my mind, to sound more modern back in the day. And now I'm even thinking, wow, like everybody's talking about old school death metal now, OSDM. And I'm looking back, hey, we have an album where, we're still sticking to that sound. But we did it when it wasn't cool at all. So everybody who likes old school death metal, Gorguts, Monstrosity, Immolation, Sappho, Cannibal, um, it's it's music like that, and it's a little more developed. Even of course, it's the defeated style was already being formed then, so it's a little bit of an update to that sound, and I'm totally proud of it. The demo songs, the older songs that were on it, definitely are my least favorites on the album, and but in a way, as a whole, I think it's probably just a classic too.
Yeah. Is there a chance maybe we can get a celebration of it somehow? Maybe do a tour you play in its entirety?
Um, I mean, 24 is coming to an end, isn't it?
Oh yeah. Yeah, but
Yeah,
so it would be 21 years.
yeah. Well, we have to wait another 4 years after to do it. Uh, Doing things like that, we haven't done that. But see, it's remember when I told you about the things that other people have already done? Morbid Angel
Yeah.
have done the Covenant tour or whatever,
Yeah, it's a great
and
album.
yeah, it is a great fucking album. I was there for the anniversary tour and it was fucking great. But I'm just saying, like, would we do it? We haven't done it yet. Maybe for one of these albums there
Yeah.
will be an anniversary tour, and
Yeah, which you pretty much led me into the next one because next year will mark 15 years of Chapters of Repugnance. And I feel like that was where you guys, in my opinion, found your sound, which would later go on the other albums like Passages of Deformity to now with Chronicles of Lunacy. So tell me about the making of that album.
Chapters was that was when my dad got out. First he got out of the band, and then he got out of this planet and turned into something else, which is, I don't want to be esoteric, but you know
Right.
um, but he still gave us, like, he still made the guitar sound because we took his exact instructions from his what was it, a zoom pedal, tri-metal or something, and it had that monstrous sound is really his. The guitar sound is really my dad's thing. And yeah, we were looking for a vocalist, and uh this is when, I don't know, we've praised Disgorge before that album came out, and we saw this Ohio Death Fest 2001 or something footage, or 2002 or something. And we all were big fans of AJ, that was singing on the Consume the Forsaken album by Disgorge, and of course deprecated deriding his creation. And so somehow we got his contact, and basically I feel it was a little bit of a breakthrough for us in the scene, because a lot of people wanted to hear his voice for like 8 years, because that's when he kind of disappeared from the scene, and then we brought him back. And I feel it was a little bit of a breakthrough, and the songs were basically just the same kind of quality as Psalms of the Moribund, and more or less the same style too. I feel um, it it was a very important record for me, uh, for all of us, and yeah, I'm still very proud of. Let's see, I'm proud of the songs more than the recording. The recording and the mix, I feel could have been better in a way, and some of the tempos were just like, we play a lot of the stuff a lot faster now, And now when I put on the CD, I'm like, oh, this is slow, and this kind of stuff. But in general, I'm very proud of these songs. They're each of them is worthy to be played again live. Possibly, 2025 has to stand under the banner of Chronicles of Lunacy. So
Yeah.
I can already tell you, it's 15 years of chapters is definitely not gonna happen. Um,
Wah, wah.
yeah, well, the thing is though, why does it have to be 15 years? Why you have to? You can make a special tour at some point where you go like, hey, we've decided after 17 and a half years we want to make a chapters tour. Who
Yeah.
who says
Yeah, some bands
it?
have done that.
It doesn't matter when you do it. It's just you gotta wait for the right time to do it. But yeah, I'm not guaranteeing anything. Uh, Focus for us is always what we're doing right now, and I think Chronicles is worth to be represented in its entirety in the year of 2025.
All right. All right. And I got two more questions for you. Talking about like your live show, because I had the pleasure to finally see you guys play live earlier at Maryland Death Fest back in May. And I thought seeing you live is so much different than just listening to you guys. So is there like a different mind frame to like playing live as to opposed to like recording an album, or are they like completely the same, or are they like separate from one another?
They're very, very different. Two very, very different things. Um, it's I mean, the adrenaline just gives you a completely different result. Sometimes you get nerves and fuck up some shit, and then I don't know people, but at the same time, people wanna get active on stage too. I can't get too active behind the drums, apart from you know doing what I have to do. But the guys get violent, and then maybe the technical details will not be 100% as accurate as on the CD, but it adds this action element and yeah, sort of a choreography, and I don't know, you just add sweat and like a interaction with the people. If my favorite videos on YouTube that I wanna how do you call it, recommend to everybody that wants to see what Defeated should be about is a Seattle show that's on there like in pieces, and you see like there's a there's like a guy twirling some other guy around and stuff, and it's a very diverse. You see a lot of the audience, and it's just like an event, it's how you call it. It's interactive or something, and we get like they influence us when we see stuff like that, and we influence them, and then it's a not a vicious circle, but it's like the opposite. It's a positive circle of energy where the more they give, the more we can give, and then we give more, and they give even more, and it's in the end, it's way better than listening to a CD, I think.
Totally. And then the final question I wanted to ask you is talking about like your gear, because I feel like you have like a sick drum sound and a sick drum setup. So I'm always curious about what you use to like play live and of course record in terms of like drums, cymbals, and all that stuff.
Yeah, now comes that. It's it's I can't wait to play my own shit on the Euro tour, which will be my Pearl Master Series drum kit with I don't know, a 10-inch tom, 12-inch tom, and a 14-inch tom. And the drum kit is fine, but it's great to play your own hardware and everything. And Um, by the way, I play these Sabian cymbals. Those I have at every show, you know. But having your own drum kit is something that's very rare. So what you are saying is like it sounds very good or something, but in reality, I can tell you about Asia. When we toured Asia, I played a different drum set every single night, and sometimes it was a terrible drum kit, and the next night it would be an amazing Pearl drum set that's like better than the one that I'm using. So, um, but in any case, I think it's the way you hit the drums and the way you play the guitar and how you palm mute, you know, your the the power chords that make your sound. That's way more important than what kind of gear you're using. Um, I even recently, the thing that I usually have for my snare is my Ludwig Black Beauty snare drum. It's a very vintage, rusty old thing, but people have been praising it for a long time. Some people say that the pinginess is annoying, but that's, I think it's my fault. Um, and yes, it is important, and it sounds amazing. But then there's just occasions where I have to play a different snare drum. Uh, Recently, I've played for this thrash band, Space Chaser, and I had to play the snare drum that they wanted, and I tuned it up a little bit, and I hit it, and I couldn't even hear much of a difference because the way I hit that snare drum is just the way I hit it. You know, it's what you do as a musician is what really counts, and not the brand of the snare drum you're hitting. It's you are the sound about 70%.
Right. So, and kind of also like in the end, to sort of wrap things up, what's next for Defeated Sanity? Chronicles of Lunacy is out now. Is just anything else you'd like to plug in terms of tours and stuff, if you're allowed to announce?
Well, first of all, we're getting ready for the Euro tour now with Violently Vomit, Putrid Pile, Stranglewire, Asylum, Embryonic Devourment, and Iniquitous Savagery. All will be in the fold. Some are only on one leg of the tour and some only on the other. That's the European tour. It starts in the middle of January, goes to the middle of February. And that is it for things that I can announce, actually. Well, there some things have been announced. Is another Europe thing in summer, where we're playing a bunch of festivals and we're trying to fill in the blanks with club shows. So yeah, finally we're giving Europe its due after such a long time not playing Europe. And then there's two other things planned. One of them is in the US. So
Ooh, I can't wait for that.
yeah, and most of it will be presenting Chronicles in its entirety. That's the big thing for 2025.
Nice. So, thank you, Lule, for this conversation. It's just any final words you want to say to the viewers that are watching this to close this out?
Come to the shows. Get physical copies of the album. Get shirts. It's the only way to help us survive as a band. And yeah, but first of all, come to the shows, say hi, and kill shit in the pit.
Oh, yeah. So, everybody, Lule from Defeated Sanity, and we'll see you next time.